Sorry, it's the last job I'm going on. I promise I'll be safe. Hello? Where are you guys? I'm gonna freeze to death out here. It's gone. It's all gone. Kate? Kate, are you out here? This should be impossible. Just have to get across the river and I should be okay. It's in ruins. What the hell happened here? I'm leaving these woods today. I don't believe it. So that's what happened. I wake up at my camp and everyone that was with me has disappeared. None of their stuff or the car that we drove here in remain. On top of that, it was cold, like -30 degrees cold. After a brief moment of panic, I start looking for firewood. My only hope is to light a fire before I freeze, and for that, I'll need some kindling, a stick, and a notched plank. Luckily for me, in the deep woods, there's no shortage of sticks, and I even find a log. For now, the only thing I can do to warm myself up is to rub my hands together. On the top right, you can see various icons that represent the severity of my condition. Right now in order is exhaustion, carrying capacity, how cold I am, and the wind chill. If I get too cold, I'll start losing health rapidly. On the top left, I have bars that give a bit more detail. For now, the most important one is the blue one, which represents my body temperature. Below halfway, I have a chance of getting sick, which would drastically lower my chances of survival. The grass that I'm picking can be used to make rope, twine, and eventually yarn for clothes. It will also work as basic kindling. Arriving back at camp and I'm starting to freeze. I have more than enough sticks for firewood, but I'll need to make a saw for a notched plank, so I need to go back out and find some stones. I'm also fighting my low endurance. Foraging is tiring work and I'm not particularly athletic. Luckily, I can at least identify poisonous berries. I get lucky finding enough stones to make a basic saw and a stone knife, which will both be vital to my survival out here. Just in time too, as I have severe hypothermia and I'm starting to lose health. I couldn't have cut this even a minute closer, and I'll be forced to either constantly keep the fire going or waste time lighting the fire when it goes out. Lighting a fire this way is RNG based, so I would like to be able to keep the fire alive if I can. I have no idea what happened to my team and no idea if they'll be coming back anytime soon. For now, I need a plan for the long haul. I'm not sure how long resources like berries will last due to this cold which came out of nowhere, so it's important I forage as much as I can early on while avoiding getting sick. I also would like to work towards some kind of shelter, though I'm not much of a carpenter. It will take me quite a while to learn how to build a roof. I have the tent for now, but an enclosed space will keep me safe from the elements. If it rains or even snows, I'm in a lot of trouble. I'm not very familiar with this area. I know there's a town to the northeast, but there's a giant river in between. Taking a look at my surroundings though, I can't see anything that would be particularly useful. The road goes a couple miles down before crossing the river, and it would be far too long away from my fire. Out of desperation, I turn on my radio, but strangely I'm not hearing anything even though I have a strong signal. All of my preset stations are gone too. Very strange indeed, but I turn it off for now, to not waste the battery. I have an uneasy feeling as I leave my fire. I'm starting to get sleepy, but I can't afford to not do one more foraging run for at least some food for the morning. Good enough. I can only be away from my fire for a few minutes at a time. It was summer when I came out here, and I definitely wasn't prepared for this weather. About 7 hours is all I can manage for the fire, but it'll have to do as I'm exhausted. I may be woken up by the cold, but I'll hopefully have enough energy to forage some more firewood. Even with the fire, I'm woken up by the cold. There's about an hour remaining on the fire. I try and grab anything nearby while I warm up a little. It's becoming very clear how difficult it will be just to survive. As I deplete my nearby resources, I'll start having to go further and further for stuff like firewood and food, so it's even more important I make an efficient shelter and possibly even sew some clothing. Both of these are long-term endeavors though, and won't help me anytime soon. I realize I don't have a watch on me, and my only way of telling time is looking at the sun and the moon. It's the middle of the night right now, so I'm thinking I use what I have to prolong the fire until morning when it hopefully warms up, even a couple degrees. With my fire about to go out, it's time to get some more wood. That's number one priority right now, and I can afford to go hungry for a bit longer. I find enough tree branches to keep the fire going through most of the day. With that taken care of, I can focus on food. I also don't have a fresh water source, so berries will be my only form of hydration until I can find a body of water. I managed to make myself a few stone axes too. They won't last more than 1 or 2 trees, but cutting my own logs will not only give me an unlimited source of firewood, but it should keep me warm in the process. The trade-off is my stamina, but it's very much worth it. 1 log is 7 times as much firewood as a stick, so that's my fuel problem kind of solved. I also broke my axe chopping down that tree though, so look at it as trading stone and grass for wood. With my short-term needs met, I try and sleep some more. The timing isn't ideal, but I'll take what I can get. I sleep pretty well this time. There was no wind, which I'm learning contributes a lot to my body temperature. I have to take advantage of times like this and forage all I can, as there may be times where I have to stay in, such as foggy or even snowy weather. I head back out and manage to make my way to the river. It's a little too far for me to relocate to right now, but close enough I can run here to fill up water containers if I need. I'm also lucky enough to find a couple empty containers I could use to transport water later on, though I can't boil plastic water bottles. I return to camp just before I become hypothermic. The wind has picked up too, so I'm getting cold really fast. I have a lot of extra time on the fire though, so I'll sleep great tonight. Another axe broken. I'm sure I'll be going through a lot of those. I decided to carve myself a couple wooden bowls. While they don't hold as much water as a bottle, they have a lot more utility. I can boil water in them and transfer it to my plastic water bottle, and I can also create salads, which will let me make much better use of my ingredients. They give a nominal amount of carpentry experience, but every little bit will help. In my downtime, I try and plan out what I want to craft. Clothing is my priority right now, and to train my tailoring, I'll have to spend a lot of time spinning grass into twine and eventually twine into yarn. Even if I can create a scarf or some longer socks, that'll buy me precious extra minutes away from my fire. Thankfully, grass is far from a sparse resource, and for now I can collect it without going too far from my fire. I am using the efficiency mod for this playthrough. On the right you can see my experience bar going up when I do actions. Over time, I'll complete actions faster, but for now while my efficiency level is low, I'll do things a little slower. I go to bed before I'm totally exhausted, hoping to wake up early and fix my sleep schedule. I wake up in a panic. I don't normally have nightmares and I can't remember my dream, but the unsettling feeling I've had since I've been here is growing. I don't have time to dwell on that though. There's no wind and I need to start foraging. I'm unimpressed with my findings. I'm getting better at foraging, but I've likely exhausted most of my resources close to camp. I'll have to figure out a way to get a bit further if I want to continue finding useful things. At least for now, I have enough food and firewood to maintain. I decided to make some real progress with carpentry for now. My carpentry level is only 1, and I'll need 6 to make a full shelter. I will be able to at least make some wooden nails at level 2 carpentry to speed things up, and I can get a small amount of experience from sawing logs in the meantime. Sleeping in a tent isn't comfortable, but at least it's keeping me warm for now. Throughout this journey, I'll be doing a lot of foraging. For now, I'm showing relevant finds like stone, which is an important resource, but as time goes on, I'll only showcase the rarest of finds. Just know that I'm always doing it in the background, and I have about 30 hours of footage from it. With my foraging level already up to 6 though, I'm finding a lot more on my outings. Around foraging level 8 though, I can really start finding some incredible things. And with this batch of trees and a couple more broken axes, that's carpentry level 2. A small milestone, but important nonetheless. I can not only create some wooden nails, but I can start laying the foundation of what will eventually become my shelter. As for the location, I decide that right around my fire pit will do. In Project Zomboid, there is no concept of insulation, so I'll be keeping my shelter open to allow a bit more realism, otherwise it would be completely warm, which just doesn't make much sense to me. I decide that a 4x8 layout will be a good size for now. I want enough space so that I can keep all my storage inside. I'll likely be standing around a lot crafting, and I want to be warm while doing so. Another long-term plan I have is to create an area for metalworking. That is what I have skills in, and it would be the first step working towards metal tools, which won't immediately break. It'll be a huge investment of time and energy, but if I end up being out here as long as I'm afraid of, it might be a necessity. I can't believe how much progress I've made after only one day of focusing on building. I'm already level 3 construction, which is still pretty far off level 6, but I've made a huge dent in the experience needed. Sleeping is always a coin flip, but I managed to sleep through the night undisturbed, with plenty of sunlight left for foraging. That could have been bad. You can focus on certain items to forage, and for now I'm choosing stones. Not only do I quickly go through them with my tools breaking constantly, but I need 30 of them to even craft a furnace, which I'll eventually need for metalworking. I already have an impressive amount of broken tools. Even with all my log cutting, the fire is still a stressor for me. It goes through about 4 full logs a day, which is about 2 axes and a bit of time too. I'm getting more nervous about an inevitable snowstorm, so I want to put as much into carpentry as I can. With the foundation and frame set, I can finally start putting up walls. This won't protect me from the elements just yet, but it means I'm making some good progress. I also hit level 4 carpentry, which is about a quarter of the total experience I need to build a roof. I go to bed after a long day and wake up to my first snow? This is not good, and while not as bad as a full-on rainstorm, things could quickly go from bad to worse. One benefit I noticed to the walls is I don't seem to suffer from wind chill while I'm behind them. A small benefit, but definitely gives me a bit more security. Foraging in the snow is not ideal, but something I'll likely have to continue doing. Inclement weather like fog and snow not only reduce your visibility, but make the frequency and quality of the items you find lower. I'm still able to find a couple of stones though, and have a healthy supply for my future tool needs. Upon leaving my house though, there's a strange amount of vegetation outside. I'm not sure how this could have happened. I was only inside a minute and it's far too cold for it to grow. I'm not too upset, and a closer supply of sticks and twigs is always welcome, but that uneasy feeling is back again. Another logging session and I'm sitting on a comfortable amount of planks. I'm still a couple levels off building a ceiling, but I was thinking of building an outdoor area and maybe even a fence. It's really just an excuse to train carpentry for now. One thing I haven't mentioned is that to start metalworking and make a furnace, I'll also need to make some bellows. These require 10 pieces of leather, which without trapping can only be found rarely through foraging small animals. I can also craft a magazine to learn basic traps with a newspaper, but that's fairly rare too. Leather is also incredibly useful for crafting some of the warmest clothing, although it requires a high tailoring level. I can start upgrading my walls, which has no functional benefit other than experience, but it looks a bit nicer. I've already been out here a week, and I'm starting to lose hope that anyone's coming for me anytime soon. I still think it would be incredibly difficult to walk out of here on my own with a cold, but that's my plan if I can manage to make myself warm enough clothing. I have considered building a bridge across the river to the town though. That may require relocating closer to the river. I may be forced to do that if my supply of berries runs out, but for now the forest seems to be providing. It makes no sense to me how I'm finding some of this stuff, and it sometimes feels like the forest is giving me exactly what I need. I'm finally able to get level 1 tailoring. Still functionally useless, but a step in the right direction. I decided to take down the remaining tents too. It's clear they won't be getting any more use. Maybe I can use one for a proxy shelter down the line. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of you, my viewers, for the support as my channel has grown quite a bit since my last video. Each of these videos takes over 100 hours between filming, editing, writing a script, and recording, and all the positive feedback makes it even more enjoyable for me. If you've been enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to subscribe. I'd love to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. I'm also starting channel members and plan to release behind the scenes videos as well as curated mod lists for those who want to play the challenges I do. I also am opening a Discord server where I'll be hosting event servers in the coming weeks. There may be limited spots though, and channel members will have priority. The Discord link will be down in the description of the video. I've been keeping on with the carpentry and managed to get level 5. I'll have a roof over my head in no time. My stats aren't particularly impressive just yet. I hit level 8 foraging though, which unlocks rare finds in the forest like skill magazines and even tools. Tailoring has been significantly slower and kind of put on the back burner until I finish carpentry. I can only get a couple dozen experience at a time making yarn without dedicating an entire day to foraging grass, and I would need a couple levels until I can make clothing and it speeds up. Foggy days can be pretty annoying, especially when I'd expected to go out foraging. With all the chopping I've been doing, I've seriously depleted my stock of stone. The food I've been eating is also low calorie, so I've been starting to rapidly lose weight. If my weight gets too low, I'll just keel over, and I eventually need a steady supply of fish to maintain a decent weight. And this is why I hate the fog. That ring is my foraging visibility zone, less than half the size as normal. At least I still end up finding some food, which is what I needed. At least fog doesn't tend to last very long. Snowstorms can last for days at a time, especially during the winter months. No idea how that'll work in what seems to be an endless winter though. I should have Carpentry 6 in a day or two, so I'll be a lot less worried about the snow. I decided to make myself a fishing rod. I haven't considered that fishing is a lot harder in the winter, and some months you can't even get bait. I have seen bugs while I'm out foraging, so we'll just have to see. Finishing up the walls, I decided to put up a couple tables. I want to display my particularly rare finds that I don't have a use for, which will be a great representation of my journey out here. And after laying a bit more flooring, I've finally gained the ability to make a ceiling. Or should I say build a staircase so I can build a floor above my home. Project Zomboid doesn't have a unique ceiling tile, and you need a staircase to build on the second floor. I have some leftover planks though, and I waste no time finishing my home. I don't have quite enough planks to fully cover it yet, so I figure covering my tent is a good idea for now. And then I'm just casually relaxing from a long day, making some twine, and I notice. My house is on fire. How could I have been so stupid? I know that you can't build above a fire pit, but in my desperation and excitement, I completely forgot. This is not good. I have no water on me, so no way to slow the spreading flame. After putting out my fire, I just stand there in horror and watch. Luckily, it looks like the fire is confined to the back corner. That means I won't lose everything like my tents and crates, but without a sledgehammer, I won't be able to repair the damage. This base is essentially destroyed. I move some of my most important things out of the crates and just wait for it to burn out. I don't have a backup plan, so for now, I'm thinking I just build a fire out front and stabilize while I can come up with an alternative. Assessing the damage, it's pretty bad. I decide I'll rearrange so that I can stay inside for the night and start building a new base soon, possibly near the river. Maybe there's a silver lining to all this. At least it's clear weather today. I go outside and notice the encroaching vegetation again. I'm not sure what to make of the speed this forest grows at. My priority now is to make some more axes. To make another structure like this, I'll need at least a dozen more axes, and while I have the stones, I'll need quite a bit more rope, so that means picking a lot of grass. While I'm outside, I see a helicopter off in the distance over what is likely the town. For a second, I consider that it saw the fire and is coming to help, but it doesn't seem like it's coming in my direction, and it's definitely not close enough to call for help. That night, I finally reached level 2 tailoring. This lets me create 2 incredible items, the woolly hat and a scarf. Not only are these warm clothing, I'm not currently wearing anything in these slots, so it will hopefully be a huge boost to my cold resistance. I also realize I'm able to make a balaclava and gloves, which will keep me even warmer. With how cold it's been out, I'm not confident this will keep me warm enough to not need a fire, but even a couple more minutes of protection will let me forage over a much larger area. Before I head to bed, I decide to dig for worms with my makeshift trowel. It looks like despite the cold, I'm still able to obtain worms. I wonder if the seasons are still happening in the background, but it's just freezing out. I wake up to near perfect weather early in the day. Today will be when I move to the river. This will be as good a spot as any. I'm not sure if it's my new clothing or just not as freezing as normal, but I'm not as cold as I normally am. I've also been thinking about what I said about the season still happening despite the cold. It's supposed to be summer now. Does that mean it'll be even colder once the seasons turn to what should be fall and winter? I can't worry about that now. I start moving the necessities over to my new spot. Luckily, it's only about a 30-second run, and on a day like today, the movement is more than enough to keep me warm. In no time, I have enough logs to start building a foundation and the walls to my new home. I'll be going with a smarter design this time. My initial base was built in panic as I was freezing to death, so hopefully this one will turn out to be a bit more functional. As I near the end of the day, I have a foundation built and even a little corner that would be covered on the off chance it snows. Not perfect, but a great start. I notice that I'm starting to become underweight. While this is a long way from being life-threatening, it also means that my carrying capacity is lower and I have lower endurance. This is not good, so I'll have to start fishing as soon as possible and try and make some high-calorie meals. Large portions of soup is off the table without a pot, but I can still make some fish-heavy salads. This may be my last night in my old home. I'll miss it, but I can't stay here any longer. My calorie deficit is so high, these fruit salads don't even make a dent. I have to hurry. I'm able to quickly finish building the rest of my new home, making sure to leave a space in the roof for the fire. It's going to be nice having a water source right next to me. I've been managing to survive off berries up until now, but I've been finding significantly less of them lately. Overall, I'm quite happy with my new location. Now that I'm next to the river, I'm considering just building a bridge and trying to run to the town nearby. If I remember correctly, it shouldn't be more than half a day run through the forest to get there. With the clothes that I've made, the cold shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'm definitely going to be more careful setting up the interior this time. Once I put a fire down, I want to avoid ever moving it. Ideally, I'd like to spend an entire day gathering firewood so I don't have to worry about it for a while. Even though it's fairly fast to grab a couple logs for it, on my longer foraging runs I need all the endurance I can get, and despite starting to exercise, my stamina is not that high yet. There is an abundance of grass in this area which will be great for continuing my tailoring. The clothes I made so far are awesome, but I'm still cold when I'm away from my fire, and there are a couple things I want to make, like a sweater and even a real backpack, although that will require leather. I put the finishing touches on my roof, and after only a couple days, it seems to be finished for now. Moving forward, I'd like to switch my focus while foraging from stones and food to miscellaneous items. When I start metalworking, my only source of metal will be breaking down items like tin cans into scrap, and I'll need a lot of them. It's better to start now, and I'd still passively get some stone. I also decided to try out some fishing. It seems like for now at least, the fish are biting. This is great for me, as fish are the only high-calorie food option at the moment. If I'm able to find the correct skill magazine or a newspaper, I'll be able to start trapping, but the calories from the small game I'd be catching is dwarfed by something like a 3-foot-long trout. For now, just eating the fish by itself or in salads is the best I can do. Eventually, I'd like to craft a pot when I start metalworking for soups and stews, but that's a long way away. I had a great haul my first time fishing, and it'll only get better as time goes on and my level improves. I'm a bit worried about the fish going away like the berries have started to. Normally in winter, the chance to catch a fish drops to 0 unless you have a high enough fishing level, and I'm nowhere close to that. I wake up to another nightmare. Unsettling, but not completely surprising given my circumstances. It's starting to get a bit foggy out, which means I'll likely spend most of the day cleaning up my camp and maybe even starting on a bridge. It seems like I've survived for now, but I have noticed it's getting colder the last couple nights. I need to stay vigilant on my supplies in case I get snowed in for a couple days, while also trying to push to make a run to the town. I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable out here, but I also want to get back home to my family. I wonder if everyone thinks I'm dead by now. From tidying up my camp, I've been able to make a lot of yarn. Enough in fact, I'm actually able to make the first of the sweaters. It's just a V-neck, but it'll still add a lot of insulation. For the first time since I've been out here, I washed myself off in the river. I've been out here a couple weeks now, and this is really the first time I've had a chance to relax and catch my breath. I don't know how much longer I'll be out here, but for now, I can start to enjoy it a little bit. With my new warm clothing, I'm looking forward to getting back to foraging. I even find a new friend, Molly. I had been getting a bit lonely out here, so a bunkmate is welcome. He can watch over my stuff. I think we even match. With my new home finally built, I can set my sights on the furnace. I used a lot of tools building this new home and nearly depleted the ones I had. I'm still a long ways from having enough leather to craft the bellows, but I want to be prepared when that moment finally comes. I also want to continue building the bridge in the meantime. I could just end up walking out of here back into civilization, so I don't want to delay that too long if I don't have to. Taking a look across the river, it looks how I expect, but wait, is that another campsite? It's hard to tell, but I think I see another fire pit. With my planks exhausted, I spend the rest of the day training some tailoring. Compared to carpentry, it's significantly slower still, but I have noticed I've been a lot warmer since getting an outer layer of clothing. I'm also starting to gain weight again now that I have a steady supply of fish and I'm no longer underweight. I'll probably continue packing on the pounds to give myself a bit of a buffer if I end up having trouble getting food. I hate waking up at night, but it's unavoidable in this environment sometimes. I can still forage, just a bit slower. Now that I'm focusing on trash, I'm finding a much wider variety of things. I even find a garden hoe, which while not immediately useful, can be melted down into a significant amount of metal. Cologne can be used as an antiseptic, and while I haven't gotten hurt yet, I like to be prepared. Infection can be dangerous out here. Despite the name, unusable metal is very much usable once I get a furnace running, and exactly what I'm looking for. I did notice that despite my warmer clothing, I was still getting cold out foraging today. It seems like it's getting colder. I had an incredible haul today though, due to my new area combined with my higher foraging level. Many of these items can be turned into metal, and others have medical or practical applications. I spend the rest of the day adding some luxuries to the house, like a couple of doors. As I'm finishing, I hear another helicopter off in the distance. It's still too far away to see me, but it looks like it's heading in the direction of the town. Another reminder to keep on building the bridge. I spend the rest of the day making significant progress. I should be only one building session after today. Despite the cold, I still think I have enough warm clothing to make it to the town. If I leave early enough in the day, I should be able to maintain my body temperature by running for a bit if I need to. When I wake up though, it's snowing. It looks like my home is doing its job in keeping me dry and a little bit warmer though. I'm so close on the bridge, a little bad weather isn't going to stop me. I lay the final couple pieces and run up to the campsite I thought I saw. Okay, now this is strange. I don't know what to make of this. There is a tent and a fire pit here, but no supplies and no wood in the fire. I've been at my new location for a while now though. Has someone been watching me? It's starting to snow harder and it's not the time to try to make a run for it. I figure if I wait out this snowstorm and keep my fire going, I can prepare myself with supplies for a longer trip. There is a certain peace that comes with sitting inside in front of a fire during a snowstorm. This is the first time it snowed heavily enough to leave a layer of snow on the ground. This will get in the way of my foraging though, and I'm not sure if fishing will be more difficult moving forward. It looks like I'm still catching fish, but the average size seems to be a bit smaller than I was getting before, and a little slower than I'm used to. Maybe I'm just unlucky right now though. With the snow stopping, it's time to make a break for it. It's early enough in the day that I can probably make it to the town if I pace myself well. I can definitely feel the cold, but I can't waste this opportunity as it could start snowing again. I'm making good progress when, off in the distance, I see a building. As I get closer though, I can see it's in ruins. Not incredibly out of the ordinary, and there's no roads nearby, so maybe it's just an old building on the outskirts of the town. The architecture looks modern though. I don't really know what to make of all of this. It doesn't look like there are any supplies in the building, but at the very least it could be used as a temporary shelter if the snowstorm picks up. Outside, I see another building completely in ruins. Now I'm really confused. I would have expected the town to be in this area. To make things worse, I'm reaching the point in the day where I either commit or start heading home. I decide to turn back for the day. At least I max out my foraging level. I have a lot to think about. By the time I return home, snow has completely covered the ground. It'll be a lot harder to go on long trips moving forward, but I have to keep trying when I can. I finish the day off with some tailoring and decide to call it a night. Waking up, it's still snowing fairly hard. I decide to push on tailoring for a while and level up high enough to make a warmer sweater. It's not as impactful as some of my previous upgrades, but at this point, every bit helps. Even with the weather conditions, it's worth trying to go foraging. I don't find much other than a Spliffo plushie, which will be a wonderful addition to the family. I make myself an apron which won't keep me warm but has a small carrying capacity, useful for things like bandages and pencils, which I want to use to mark my map in case I get lost. The next day, it looks like the snow has finally stopped. On my limited map, it looks like there are a number of buildings near the two I found. I wanted to check them out later, but for now I'm kind of lost. If there is a town out there, it's nowhere near as close as I had hoped. Going back outside again, I see that the forest is once again creeping towards my home. I wonder if that's what happened to those ruins I saw. I spent a bit of time removing some of the grass, just in case. I make my way back over to my old home to see if there are any supplies I left behind that would be useful now. Interestingly, it doesn't look as overgrown here as I would expect. There isn't much over here though that I left, other than some glue and a mirror. It's definitely been colder out. Even with only a little wind chill, I'm still getting chilly fairly quickly. This isn't good. If I had to guess, it's what normally would be fall right now. I'm afraid that means it'll only get colder from here. It's time to start planning out what I'm going to do next. Since it seems like I might be here longer than I expected, I might start expanding my home to include an area for future metalworking. I also want to create some kind of museum where I can display my collection of things that aren't usable in crafting. I start working on a roof for my future metalworking area. It'll be nice to have a space that keeps the snow off the ground too, and make me feel a bit more insulated from the cold. I also make a point to not build a roof over my fire. Whenever I make a roof like this, I like to put in support posts. It's not necessary for the structural integrity, but it's definitely more immersive. I also try my luck at fishing again and bring in a giant haul, including a 2-foot long trout. When I am able to catch fish, I try to take advantage, just in case. Now that my calories are under control, I don't have to rely on foraging as much. This is nice as the biggest limiter to foraging right now is my carry weight, so I can spend significantly longer away from home. I spend the rest of the day chopping down trees. I plan on expanding, but I also want to have enough wood for my fire that I don't have to worry about it for a while. Waking up to clear weather is the best feeling after the last couple of weeks. My clothes are starting to get a bit worn from all the time spent walking through dense forest. Luckily, I can repair them a bit. I've still been on the lookout for leather, as that's what I need to start metalworking. I can also start working towards some of the other metalworking items, such as an anvil, grindstone, and tongs. I actually have enough materials to make a grindstone though, so I make one. It feels good to have at least one piece of the puzzle. I've seriously been slacking on my exercising, probably because I've been so exhausted at the end of the day. With exercising, the more you do it, the more strength and fitness experience it will give. For now, I want to focus on strength as that will allow me to carry more items, and that seems to be the most important right now. I may not have found a town, but I am interested in exploring the area with the ruins a bit more. I also was able to make a snare trap, but I only have a little bit of bait, and I'm hoping to get lucky. I come upon another building that has a decent-sized graveyard attached to it. I'm not necessarily sure what this means, but I noticed that I can disassemble a couple of the gravestones. I'll have to mark this on my map and come back later with the proper tools, and it could provide me some valuable resources. Dead animals are my favorite thing to find. They often aren't fresh, but I usually get multiple pieces of leather from skinning them. It's clear to me now that across the river tends to give much better hauls while foraging, and there seems to be a lot more ruined buildings than I could have imagined. I'm not sure if this is the town I thought was here, or I'm just completely turned around. After a month in the woods, it's kind of hard to tell. I love finding pine cones while foraging, as they are very efficient firewood. While I'm out near my base, I see what looks like a police helicopter approaching my compound. I run out to an open area and try and get its attention. I hear it broadcast a message to stay in my shelter. Not what I was hoping for. I have a couple more tailoring milestones I want to reach, and when I don't have enough time to forage, I pick as much grass as I can. Every day seems to be stranger out here, but at least I've worked out a decent routine that's not only keeping me fed, but has me feeling like I'm making progress. I just have to keep it up, and I'll be in a spot that's sustainable even with the cold. I wake up in the middle of the night and it's freezing. My body temperature is going down unless I'm directly next to my fire. I decide to spend a bit of time chopping logs, as it'll keep me warm, and also laying a bit of foundation outside my base as a walkway. One thing that's been in the back of my mind is a bed. I've gotten a bit tired of sleeping on the ground for the last couple months, and I should have all the materials I need. Fans of the channel will know the disappointment a bed caused me when I couldn't sleep in one last playthrough, but I assure you, I finally figured it out. And what's a bed without a couple stuffed animals? Hopefully I'll find a couple more friends to add to the growing family. A picture of my wife? I don't understand what's going on here. This should be impossible. She's the driving force for me leaving this place. I'd be lying if I said it didn't give me some comfort seeing a friendly face. I'm still pretty freaked out, but it'll be nice getting to see her. I'm hoping for a good night's sleep after an emotional day, but the bed is too far from the fire and I get pretty cold. I might have to rearrange a bit. Going outside today, there's the highest wind chill yet. I'm freezing, but I still have to push on with foraging. With how cold it's getting, I need to find enough leather for a jacket or enough denim for a winter hat. I still have the idea of trapping, but without any appropriate bait, that's off the table for now. I am lucky enough to find another animal to skin, but I'll likely have to make a tough choice between the bellows and warm clothing. Unfortunately, I don't have the aptitude for different varieties of traps. I'd need a specific skill magazine, and the chances of that are next to nothing. For now, it looks like my fishing luck continues. I want to get my fishing skill as high as possible, as that will increase my chance to catch fish. Fishing is one of the slowest skills to level though, so I likely won't get higher than level 3 or 4. Ooh, Pancake the Hedgehog. My family is growing. Digging for worms makes me really tired, so it's great for maintaining a sleep schedule. Worms don't go bad either, and in the winter months I won't be able to dig anymore, so I want to have as many as I can, especially with catch rates for fish going down. It looks like another snowy day. It's been snowing a lot lately, and in Project Zomboid you generally get more precipitation in the fall months. It seems like despite the cold, the seasons are still functioning as they should. One benefit to the seasons changing is that I should find different items while foraging. I haven't found anything suitable as bait in a while, but hopefully peanut bushes should start appearing soon, which would be ideal for catching squirrels. I also find another bird, which brings me to a total of 20 leather strips, which will be enough to make the bellows, and with those, create a furnace finally. This is an incredible milestone and opens up so many possibilities for crafting that will make my quality of life so much better out here. With my furnace going down, the metalworking area is really starting to come together. I also need to make an anvil and some tongs to open up even more recipes, but I can start smelting with the furnace and building a supply of metal. As your carpentry level goes up, your crates can hold even more, and the things you build look much higher quality. I start smelting some items I've saved up and get my first metalworking experience. Depending on the size of the item, you'll get pieces of metal which can be forged into workable iron. For some items, you'll need multiple to even get a piece of metal, so foraging just became even more important. With my furnace complete, I start working on a second building to display all my finds. It'll be nice to have them separate and not cluttering up my crafting crates too. As much as I like the bed, I've decided to just put the tent back near the fire. I have so much wood in the fire I don't want to have to move it, and the only negative is a bit of pain in my neck. It's too bad, but I prefer a warm night's sleep. With my foraging maxed out and focusing on miscellaneous items, I'm starting to find some interesting things. With the mods I have on, most items can be utilized in one way or another, either by breaking them down into scrap or using them directly as crafting components. For some items like empty cans, I need 8 of them to smelt down to a single piece of metal. There are a couple rare drops I would love to see that I cannot craft, such as a pair of scissors. For every item that spawns in though, the chance of finding an individual rare item is about 1 in 10,000, so it's not reliable. With the prospect of metalworking though, I dedicate most of my time to foraging as it's my most reliable way of obtaining upgrades. I'm starting to get close to the denim strips needed for a winter hat, and with another 10 leather, I can start making myself even warmer pants and a jacket. I have noticed I'm finding a lot less food now, particularly berries. The forest seems to be giving me things that you'd normally find in fall, which means winter is right around the corner. I managed to find a carpentry book, which although I've progressed beyond what it can teach me, will give me a small amount of experience. It's just nice to be able to read something. With all the glass bottles I found, I can boil a huge supply of fresh water, just in case. These are the leather items I want to make. Between all of them, I need about 70 pieces of leather. This is unrealistic just scavenging in the woods, so I'll need to find a suitable bait source if I want to get what are my most impactful upgrades for protecting me from the cold. Another foggy day, which means it's time to get back to building. I'm starting to really enjoy myself out here. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if I'm never able to escape. It's been long enough that they've likely given up any search parties, if they ever did that at all. I'm still curious about the ruins I found though, and want to get to the bottom of what happened there. From what I can see, there are some larger buildings I haven't checked out yet, and I'm curious if I can find any supplies that were left behind. I have noticed that some days are warm enough that I'm able to spend hours away from my fire. I'm not quite confident enough to try and spend an entire night away from my home though, as the weather seems to drastically change day to day. I've been out here for at least 60 days by now, and with the Surviving Through Seasons mod, that would be about half a year. It should be winter anytime, but I think I'll be prepared. This second building has really come together, and I'm excited to start filling it up. As I start to display my finds, I'm realizing a lot of these are children's toys. I don't really know what to make of that. I finally realize I can break down the rocks on the other side of the river. I wish I'd discovered this sooner, but it will be nice having a near unlimited supply of stones moving forward. Taking off my hat for the first time in months, I realized I probably look completely different now, but I am completely different. I came out here with nothing, and it feels nice to be surrounded by things I've made. I almost have enough metal to start really crafting with metalworking, which gives me even more motivation to go out and get the last bit of metal that I'll need. As I make my way back towards the ruins, I notice that while I'm inside these buildings, I start to warm up. This kind of changes things, as I could take advantage of this to explore even deeper into the ruins if I leave early enough in the day. I finally have enough forged iron to make my first metal item, a metal sheet. I need 2 of these if I want to make a cooking pot though, but it's still a step in the right direction. I also put down a furnace. It functions similarly to my forge, but really brings the metalworking area together aesthetically. Everything has been coming together recently. I've been gaining weight, finding what I need while foraging, and I'm able to push further into the ruins without starting to freeze. I'm still considering just making a break for it, but I also want to finish what I started here. I'm starting to fill out my museum nicely too. I'm just missing a football from my collection. I remember tossing one during the first week I was here. What a shame. I've gone through so many metal tools. This is a pile of 75 broken axes and hammers. I hope I can make some metal ones soon. The anvil is the final piece of my metalworking puzzle, but to make one I'll need a metal hammer. It shouldn't be too difficult to make one, I just need a bit more metal and I've been prioritizing a pot to make stew. My stats have been coming along very nicely. I'm finally making progress on my fitness and strength, and my other skills have gotten better as well. Level 3 fishing and level 6 tailoring have both made my life a lot easier out here. There have been a lot more additions to the family. I even found Barry from my last survival series. I'm glad someone can utilize this bed at least. I'll even give him something to play with. While I'm heading out on a foraging run, I make my first mistake in a while. Just a scratch on my leg, and thankfully I'm prepared with an herbal pain remedy and a sterilized bandage. I also tear a hole in my pants, which is not good. I can repair it fairly easily, but it lowers the overall durability of the item. I think I'll be prioritizing the leather pants first. I can also take advantage of my staff of perfume and cologne as a disinfectant while replacing my bandages. I've done a great job so far at avoiding sickness and infection out here, and I'd like to keep it that way. As a consolation prize, I found Freddy the Fox while I was out. I think the gang's all here now. I also found my first peanuts, meaning I can finally start setting traps up. Each trap will have about a 30% chance to catch a squirrel, but I should also have plenty more opportunities as it's likely the seasons have shifted, meaning I'll continue finding peanuts. That might mean it's finally winter though. Taking a look at my insulation, there are still a couple spots on my torso, arms, and legs that could be improved upon. I think upgrading to leather pants and making a jacket will be exactly what I need to keep myself as warm as possible. It's definitely gotten colder. I'm even getting colder as I'm running. This is not good. Checking my trap, it looks like I wasn't lucky today. They also took my bait, which means I'll have to wait to find more before I can start trapping again. That's okay though, I'll need to catch quite a lot of squirrels before I can do anything with the leather. I find a How to Use Generators magazine. I'm sure this is incredibly rare and is very sought after in a normal Project Zomboid playthrough. It's useless for me though. Funny how that works. I'm starting to freeze after only a couple hours away from my home. Thankfully I have these ruined buildings to take shelter. I can also exercise if I really want to warm up, and I've been doing it often enough my muscles don't get as sore as they used to. I found some more peanuts though, which means it's time to bait my traps. I don't normally do much trapping, so I'm interested to see how reliable it is for calories. I can't imagine squirrels provide much other than leather. The next day, the first thing I do is run out to check my traps. I'm really excited to see if this will work. As I approach, I can already see I've caught something. How trapping works is interesting to me. The trap has to be set at least 75 tiles away, and every night between about 2 to 4 a.m. it will roll an outcome for each trap if you're far enough away, based on your trapping level. It seems like I got lucky twice, as both my traps contain a freshly caught squirrel. This seems like it'll be a very sustainable way of getting leather, as I'm finding peanuts fairly often and each trap doesn't even fully consume one. I might just have to make more of these and take advantage while it's working. From butchering these 2 squirrels, I get myself 6 strips of leather. That's just incredible. I also get some meat, which it won't be high in calories, but it'll at least be nice to have some variety in my diet. Back at home, I make myself some stir fry with lemongrass seasoning, maybe the most decadent meal I've had out here. At this point, the clips I'm showing you are a bit more spread out. I've settled into a nice routine of checking my traps, foraging, and exercising. I plan to change this up once I get warmer clothing and can explore a bit more, but with it being winter now, it's colder than it's ever been, and I can't go as far from my fire. While I'm out gathering sticks, I make another mistake and scratch my foot while walking through a tree. I say a mistake, but it's also fairly inevitable traversing such dense forest. I also notice that my shoes are pretty much destroyed, which makes sense after so long in the woods. I can patch it up, but that's only a short-term solution. I may have to delay leather clothing to make a pair of boots. I also have to use one of my precious denim strips, and I don't want to have to do that again. That settles it. I'm going all in on trapping now and make myself 6 more. I should be able to sustain this many at least for a while with bait, and it'll triple the amount of leather I'm getting. At this rate, it should only take me a couple weeks to have enough leather to make everything I need and have a few extra in storage for repairs. It does make finding leather strips on the ground a little less exciting though. It's also time to expand the build a little more. As I'm constantly fighting against the cold, I think it would be nice to have an area where I don't have to look at it, so I decided to expand my roof. It doesn't really have a functional benefit other than my own sanity, but at this point, there's a lot of value to that. I also want to make some space between my home and the forest. I wouldn't want my home to end up like those buildings on the other side of the river. Checking my traps the next day, I'm greeted by 4 traps having caught something. This is awesome, as 12 leather will be enough to make a new article of clothing. I don't even have to be too careful with what I choose, as I have the ability to quickly get more. Back home, I decided to go with the leather coat first, as I currently have no outer layer. I even have enough leather left over to make myself a pair of boots. Trapping has been exactly what I needed, and I couldn't be happier with how it's going. Going outside, I'm still getting cold, but not nearly as fast as I was before. I'm in a great spot with my weight too. In fact, if I keep it up, I'll soon be overweight. Not a bad problem to have out here. Taking a look at my insulation, it looks like I have everything completely maxed out, but it's still not enough to keep me warm for long. I'll still try making the leather pants, but I have doubts on their effectiveness. That means if it gets any colder, I could be in trouble. I also decided to make myself a survivor backpack, the largest capacity bag I can make. My current one gives about 18 units of weight, while this new one will give 27. I can upgrade the survivor bag slightly if I get a pair of scissors too. It looks like the ruins stretch even further than I had thought. As I get deeper, I start to see some very interesting architecture and even an intricate statue. It's hard to believe a town like this would just be abandoned and for long enough for it to be so overrun by the forest. I have to explore more and maybe even get to the bottom of this. I make it back right before night. I have a lot to think about. I want to go back out bright and early tomorrow and see what else I can find out there. But the weather has other plans. Some things are just out of my control, I guess. That's okay. I still need to check my traps, and I have another great haul of 4 squirrels. This is easily enough that I can make my leather pants, which should give me my maximum protection from the cold. This might be the warmest clothing I can obtain other than a winter hat, so hopefully it will be enough. Another benefit to the leather pants is I can rip up these old dirty jeans, giving me 5 denim strips, putting me very close to the 10 I need for the winter hat. Repurposing at its finest. I like to spend days like this doing chores like chopping wood, and I always need more to keep the fire going. After a bit more foraging, I finally have enough denim strips to make the winter hat, which gives me the maximum insulation I can get out here. At this point, I'm confident I won't be able to stop myself from getting cold, but if I can make it through the winter, I should be fine in the warmer months. I've also been exercising regularly enough that I finally reached level 8 strength. This gives me one more carrying capacity, and I barely have any muscle fatigue the next day. I wake up after another nightmare, which seems to happen more often when I stray too far from camp. Maybe the stress of this place is finally getting to me. Even though I don't particularly have a strong urge to leave, I know that it isn't right to stay. Before I consider that though, I'm going back to explore as much of the ruins as I can. I come upon a much more densely built area with at least 4 buildings in sight. Through the upstairs window of one of them, I catch a glimpse of a crate. Could these be the leftover supplies I was looking for? There's a staircase here, something I haven't seen inside these buildings yet. I go upstairs and I can't believe what I see. A bed, desk, crates, and barrels. Inside the crates are fairly modern items like a flashlight, electrical wiring, modern magazines, and books. I even find that pair of scissors I was looking for. I spend quite a bit of time here scavenging whatever I can, but this is really weird. It almost seems like someone was living here, but there's no food or long-term supplies. I don't really understand any of this, but it only makes me want to push further into the town. It's early enough in the day I can still make some progress. Taking a look at my map, and I can see the edge of what looks like a massive building fairly close to me. Could this place give me the answers I'm looking for? Coming up on the building, this place is massive. I make my way inside and it feels even more expansive. I don't notice anything right away that stands out, but in the middle is another one of those intricate statues. I don't notice a staircase or any way to go up, and it's starting to get late, so I might need to head back. While it's great to find all of these supplies, something just doesn't sit right with me. It's almost like that town shouldn't exist. I saw a map of the area before I came out here and it's right where the town should be. I decide to clean up a bit and make myself a bookshelf and a table. I think I've moved past the point of keeping all my stuff on the floor. I come to the decision it's time to leave this forest, and before I do that, it's time for a haircut. I consider it rejecting this new forest life and a return to society. I miss my old life, and despite what I've made out here, I've felt uneasy ever since I woke up alone all those months ago. A few more days pass as I wait for a day with the perfect weather, but it's finally come. I load up on the supplies I'll need for a day's journey and decide I'll just start heading east until I reach civilization. That's the way I came from, so as long as I push on in that direction, I'm sure I'll make it out. As I approach the building in the distance, I finally understand. Maybe I didn't choose to stay here. The forest chose me. This entire time I thought I was lucky. Things just seemed to all fall into place. I still don't know how all this happened. Magic? Maybe that's not important though. What's important is that I'm here and the forest has provided me with everything I could want to be comfortable. The only thing holding me back was that uneasy feeling. It's gone now though, and I can finally accept this great gift that I've received. I'm sorry, Kate, for everything.